We're talking about relationships and exposure, and if you think about it, you start out and you might go to an event or you meet someone somewhere and you develop a relationship for a certain amount of time, or you're separated. It's challenging to keep that relationship going. You reach out and them a text, or you give them a call, or you see them at another event, and it's a little bit challenging, so you're not always front of mind. And that's where this really worked for us. Shelley was great and still is the master at creating those relationships and bringing us all together. But we also need to stay in front of all of these people. And that goes for everybody. Like if you sell a house, this is the number one thing that agents do wrong. You sell them a house, you build a relationship over finding them a home, going through the whole closing process, and then you're like, hey, great, and then it's like you don't see them for 3-4 years because you move on to the next deal. And that's where exposure comes in. So if you can stay in front of them with exposure and marketing and, doing different events like we just showed you in different contests, and, getting their kids involved, and, holidays, and it's not just all about houses, you will stay front of mind. So that relationship bond remains very, very strong through exposure. And that's what we're talking about in this presentation. And that's why it's worked so well. That's why Shelley and I have really done well as a partnership, and we have great people around us to support our team and grow what we're trying to do. So I'm going to go into a little bit about different platforms and different types of ways to give exposure and stay in front of these people once you've developed those relationships. I like this particular slide. I created it because we often think of when we grew up, we had a newspaper, there was a business journal, and then there was like real-time information like the news. There were magazines which were colorful, and we had radio, and then we had television. Those were our forms of media and the medium platforms that we often dealt with. Well, it's shifting more and more, and you're seeing it more and more over the last couple of years. More and more people are getting rid of TV because they watch more YouTube and they watch more Netflix and Amazon Prime than they do actual TV networks, because everything's on demand. So if you look at the different platforms that are out there, as far as like Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, podcasts, YouTube, it goes on and on. Facebook is kind of like a little bit of everything. There's funny stuff on there. There's news stuff on there. There's video on there. There's long form, short form. So that's more like a newspaper. It's a little bit of everything. There's happy stuff, sad stuff, business stuff, serious stuff, funny stuff. So I look at Facebook as like the jack of all trades. It's kind of a little bit of everything, like a newspaper used to be. LinkedIn is more B2B. It's business to business. So if you were to post something about business, people on that platform expect business news and information. So that's more like a business journal. Twitter is more like a real-time, hey, newsflash, breaking news. This is what's going on right now. So that's what Twitter is. It's more of real-time news and information. Instagram is very, very visual. It's mostly still pictures and colors and good photography or a message or a quote, and that's more like a magazine. And a podcast is voice. So that's your radio. That's information via sound and voice. So that's very similar to talk radio. And then, of course, YouTube is very visual and it's video. So that's basically your television. So my point in this slide, if I went back and took you back in a time machine 15 years ago as a realtor, and I said, hey, listen, I'm going to give you your own newspaper, your own business journal, your own magazine, your own radio talk show, and your own television station. Do you think you'd be able to succeed in real estate as a business? I'm going to give you them all for free. You would say I'd crush it. But that's what we have today. So you need to see these platforms as your own newspaper, your own magazine, your own talk radio show if you want it, your own TV show if you want it. It's all there for the taking. You just need to do it. So I'm going to show you basically some different ways to break down content. And a lot of people get frozen when you say, hey, just go on the different platforms and start posting. They don't know what to post. So I'm going to show you several things and different ways that you can post. Some other forms of media that we use are obviously email, newsletters, texting, voice text, video, virtual reality, augmented reality, like EXP World is augmented reality. And then good old phone calls are very important. And then the reason I put these simple things on there is because as time changes and everybody goes and does things a certain way, sometimes if you go back to the old way, for instance, writing a handwritten letter, there was a time when mail was like, I hate mail. All it is junk. I don't even look at my mail. But now if someone gets a handwritten letter, it's very special. Whereas like 10 years ago, it was just like, I don't even look at my mail. Okay, so getting started, these are the basics. You want to choose your audience. Who are you trying to get your message to? What platform fits that audience? And then post content relevant to that audience or platform. So you're not going to start, posting funny jokes and things on LinkedIn, because that's not the audience that you're trying to get. That audience is wanting information, business related, and they want it straight to the point. So, be aware of the audience and the platform that you're posting on. Be consistent. Very, very important. You should post at least 3 times per day on whatever platforms you're choosing to use. And when I say whatever platforms you're using to choose, that you're choosing, try not to do everything, because you're spread too thin. If you're unable to do all of it and you're just doing all of it sort of good, you're not going to succeed. So pick the platforms that you're comfortable with and post on those platforms and be consistent. Schedule posts whenever it's possible for leverage. So if you can go on the Facebook Pages app, there's an app called Facebook Pages if you're on Facebook, and you can schedule posts in the future, so you don't have to post them all at one time or during that day. There's also several platforms that will schedule posts. Okay. Time is your most... Yes.
One thing I was just going to share with everybody is I love that first slide, and it may seem overwhelming to some, and even Craig and I struggle getting everything everywhere. It's a balancing act, so you don't have to eat the whole elephant. That's all I was going to say. Just focus on what you like, right?
100%. Some people think like, in order to succeed, I need to do what they're doing, and they're doing everything, so I need to do everything. Lauren Rocco is a great example. She uses Instagram a lot, and she uses Instagram stories. So within Instagram, she posts on Instagram, but she does a fantastic job at Instagram stories, and she is known for that, and people look for her content, and she has a lot of eyes on her because that's her focus. That's where she puts a lot of her energy, and she likes that platform, and it gets her business. So she's not on 10 different platforms doing 10 different things. She's on that thing using that tool within that platform, and that's a great example. These are just some other ways you can leverage yourself. So if you're at the point where you want to expand your business, but you are only one person and you have only so much time, you can leverage yourself with some of these other things here. Scheduling platforms. These are some of the platforms we use later. Some people use Buffer, or Hootsuite is a real popular one. A lot of them are free to start. You can use maybe 1 or 2 accounts and schedule maybe up to 15 or 30 posts a month for free. So it's a good way to start.
These are like some of the ways we promote an event. We'll do a save the date. So we don't just promote the event by itself. So a lot of times An event is a stagnant thing, meaning it's a day and it's over. There's not a before, a middle, and an end. I think that Craig really brings a ton of value to this with helping make sure that we're giving the event the full deserved energy that goes into it. Because of the problem with sometimes with events is you do the event, you put all this energy into it, but nobody knows about it but the people that came. So we do a big save the date post. There's some more examples of this further down in the slide presentation. We create an Eventbrite. We promote the event prior to. We do live content on location, pre-event, like prepping for it, setting up for it, creating the excitement for it. We do interviews of people while we're at the event, promote others where possible, like if there's a caterer that's doing it for us, or a person that's doing painting or anything like that. We basically create a whole plan for that event, and it starts sometimes 6 months out, and we'll show you an example of that later. But long form video, if the event, like, so if we have a videographer there and they're doing a long form video, and then we cut it into short minute long videos. So different types of snippet videos with key points, quotes and graphics from the speaker, if there's a speaker there, like something they said that was clever, thank you cards after the event, sending out pictures of them at the clients that are at the event, so like them and their family. Everyone loves to see their friends and family, especially when you take the time to recognize their friends and family. Do a highlight video like Craig said there at the end, and then post the event as it's happening, of course.
That's a good way to do it. These are some different types of posts, which I'm going to go over right now. So this is kind of the agenda of the next 19 things I'm going to show you. So let's start out, make it simple. Tweets and texts, text posts. You'll see all different things. You can do a notepad type of post, which is on the right-hand side. That might look sloppy to you, but if you saw that posted, it looks different. So people are going to look at it like, what does that say? Like, it looks like a 2-year-old wrote market update, but people look at it, so it's different. The middle one is a little more it's the same post, but it's a little bit more professional looking. And I go back to what platform that is on. That middle post there that says update is on LinkedIn. So it's very formal, it's very business-like, it's very matter-of-fact. And on the far left, it's just a tweet. It's a quick information with some hashtags. So that's 3 different ways you can do a simple post like that. I mean, they're not very exciting, but sometimes being simple and quick, putting stuff out there is great. Memes are great because it kind of deals mostly with something that's fun, or a certain, it's relative to time or relative to an event that might have just happened. And it's a good way to break up your content. If you're always posting serious stuff or lists or just market reports, that gets very boring to people. But if you can post a meme with a face of a funny dog or something that's from a movie, a lot of people will engage with that, and that gets your audience to stay engaged with what you're doing. So you want to have a little bit of variety, and memes are a great way to do it. Still images are probably one of the most basic ways you can post. Whether it's the one in the middle is Labor Day weekend, so it just kind of creates a fun look of what's coming up, gets people excited about what's coming up. The one on the far left is a great still image to post, and it's documentation of what is going on. So that picture of Shelley and 2 other agents at one of the EXP events is a great way of showing what happened, what people might have missed, and they want to be involved in the next one. It's got a good description of what happened, and she also tagged these 2 ladies in the post, which got this post involved and kind of mixed in with their audience. So it mixed audience and got more reach. So it's very important to document what's going on. People are interested to what's going on in your life, in your business, in events. And then on the far right, I like posting stuff like, oh, that was a cool sign, that's a cool saying. So I just posted that as well. But you got to also be aware of what platform you're posting it on, like I said earlier. So know your audience and where to post it. One of the things that I always like to do is you got to be different. If you post the same thing that everybody else posts, you're really not going to stand out. So think different. Think of different views. Think of, even using a filter every once in a while. Like you'll see in the upper right, that picture of the dock. That's a listing we had in Lake Wylie. And it's just a symmetrical picture of a dock, but it's, done in HDR. It's got a little bit of a glow to it. It's different. It's eye-catching. The one under that is a drone picture. It's not a normal view that you're going to see. On the far left, it's a video with a filter. That's just going to catch people's eyes and make it different, and people are going to stop on your post when they're thumbing through a timeline. So some of the things on the bottom, you say how to be different. Use filters, angles of images, still images, video, drone. Use boomerangs, time lapses, which I'll show you a little bit in the end as well. Slide decks. There's so many different ways to post pictures. You can post them as an album. So in Facebook or LinkedIn, you can create an album. So you just click on a number of pictures. You can actually put a description behind it, and it creates almost like a photo album. And in the middle one is slide decks in Instagram. If you choose several different pictures in Instagram, you can slide left to right and show different pictures in a post. Or obviously you can do like a collage. And there's lots of different apps for that as well. But you always want to be different in your looks and mix it up. And that's why I'm posting all of these. Live stream videos. Shelley, do you want to talk a little bit about that? I don't know if she's...
yeah, I'm here.
Okay. You want to talk about live streaming some different things that we've done?
Sure. We've done a lot of stuff for neighborhoods. So if we have something, whether it's our neighborhood or other neighborhoods that are established, we do updates on neighborhoods, what's happening in them. The middle one is just something I was doing for the real estate community, and just sharing an update when COVID was going on for the essential, non-essential. And then to the right, it's basically a Zoom, which a lot of you've seen live on Facebook, and it's not very difficult to do at all. So it's a great way to connect with people in different parts of the world and kind of share perspective or just information that's important to others. So there's great ways to do live stream video. And what's really important about live stream is it gets a lot of eyes on it because it's organic, and social media loves organic. So when you go live, you're basically putting yourself out there unedited, and you can make a mistake, and social media loves that because it's real. So it's a really great way to basically get more faces and people maybe that normally wouldn't see you, because social media, a lot of times you see the same people over and over, and live actually pushes you into other audiences that may not normally see you. So it's a great thing to do, maybe a little bit uncomfortable, but get comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's where you grow.
Yep. And, Shelley hit it right on the head with the algorithms of the different platforms. These platforms love live. So it gives you what's called reach. So when you go live, you get the largest reach that any platform is going to give you, which means it exposes you to more people than any other type of post. So when you go live, it is going to show your live stream to more people than a regular video or a still image or text or anything like that. So you're going to get much more reach. That's one thing. The next thing is video allows people to learn who you are and your personality. And like Shelley said, we all have imperfections. We all screw up. We all stutter. We all mess up. But that is real, and people relate to real. So you're going to build your audience that way, and people are going to learn who you are and like you more doing that. It also, live is very important because when people scroll through their news feed and you keep showing up as a live, even if they're not listening to what you're saying, they're relating you to your expertise. They're like, oh, there's that Shelley girl again. She's a realtor. I know she's a realtor. She's always on there. She must be an expert. So it really connects you to your craft and what you're good at. So it keeps you front of mind. So that goes back to exposure. She is creating exposure. I'm creating exposure. The people that are doing video are constantly popping up in the news feed of these people because we get more reach. You're getting a lot of exposure. Video is very, very strong as far as reach also, but not quite as good as live. And when I say video, that is just recorded video. So you have all different types of video. You have long form video, which might be YouTube. So right now, if we're recording this class, this would be more of a long form video that would be on something like YouTube. If it's a live click, that's the short. You can take snippets out of a long form video. So if we were talking about a particular neighborhood and it was a 5-minute video on that, we might pull out 25 seconds of that video and make it into its own clip, and those are called snippets or micro video. Those are great for things like YouTube and Instagram, or even stories on Facebook or Instagram stories. So repurpose your information, make your long form video a long form, and then make 5 snippets out of it, take a still picture out of it, and put some graphics over it like you see in the upper right hand corner here. That would be just a picture. Got lots. It's like that video is about lots that we have available at Hidden Meadows, but we made it into a graphic, we made it into a long form video, we made it into a 5-second snippet video, and we repurposed it on all the different types of platforms. So be creative with what you have, and if you don't know how to do something, Google it or YouTube it, and you'll be able to find out how to make a long form video and edit into a small video. It's super easy on your phone. You just got to follow directions. Checking in at locations. This is really important also. You got to put the more content that you can put into your posts by checking in. So for instance, on the far left, that particular post is for a listing that we have in Verdict Ridge. It's a golf course community here at Lake Norman. And so when I checked in and put that was where the location of this listing was, anybody that follows that particular community has a better chance of seeing this particular post, because I basically crossed over interests with the people that have the interest in that particular golf course and community. So there's a good chance that is going to show up in their newsfeed, because the platforms know that particular person is also interested in that neighborhood. So it says, hey, you might be interested in this post because this is also from the same neighborhood. So putting your location in text or in the content that you're posting is very important. If you're at a meeting, which you see in the middle slide, that's one of our builders. They're having a meeting, and that basically shows the public and realtors and other people that they're hard at work. They're selling houses. They're a great builder. So when someone is looking for a good builder, if Lisa is always posting she's at Foundation Homes in Mooresville and we're selling homes, that's going to be front of mind for that particular buyer of a new home or another realtor. So that is marketing in its own, just by checking in. So it identifies, and then some people search by location as well. So you always want to check in on those certain areas, and I call that social juice. The more content and information that you could put in a post, it's going to get better reach, and the platform is going to be able to identify your post better and place it in front of more people. So information is king. Take the time to put descriptions in there, hashtags, locations, all of that is very important. Next thing is quotes. Quotes are really cool. It's a good way to break up your content. We like to do a lot of simple quotes because it just kind of identifies who we are and what we're about, and we can put some cool graphics behind it, and it's just another way to break up your content and put it out there. It's okay to repurpose content too, like 1% idea, 99% execution, which you see on the far right. That's not our post, but we repurposed it. It's not our picture, but that kind of identifies what we're about. We like executing, not just talking. So it kind of tells our audience kind of who we are. Stories are a great way to get your word out there, because story is also documentation in a lot of ways. It shows what's going on in your world, what you're doing in your business, your personal life, maybe things that you represent, news flashes. You can do a lot of different things with stories to give a very quick and fast overview to people and remind people what's going on in your life. You know, we've all clicked through stories, and you just click, 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 and you see like the 5 or 6 different things that they posted that day, and you go through like 10 people's stories in 20 seconds. But it's good. It's repetition. It keeps your brand and your exposure in front of that person. So I'm a big fan of stories, and these are just different ways that you can post, and different things you can post about, whether it's a listing, or we just started breaking ground on a new build, news that happened. That's when EXP's Verbella was on the front page of the Boston Globe. I put that in our story because other agents, thought EXP was just this little company, and they're on the front page of the Boston Globe. That's a pretty big deal. Remind people that you deal with international lifestyle pictures, like Birkdale Village. Those are different things that I repurpose, and our team repurposes in our stories. So you don't have to recreate the wheel every day with your stories. Save some of these and repost them for later on. Documentation is one of the most interesting things that you can post about. So post about what's going on in your particular day, or a project that you're working on. With vlogs, which is like a video blog, basically just shows a day in a life of what you're doing. It's really interesting to people. They're like, all right, well, I'm interested in maybe buying a new home. That's a great neighborhood. I'm gonna see where that is. Or like Shelley posted all the different things. We had like a team meeting. We had an interview with one of the co-presidents of EXP. And then we were involved in a meeting in EXP World, and it just shows that we're working, and our business is growing, and it's operating on all cylinders. It shows confidence to the consumer, and so documentation is a really great way of showing what's going on. Testimonials and bios, it's a great way. Every time you get a testimonial, jazz it up a little bit, put it in a post, and let people know that people love what you're doing. You bring a new person onto your team, or in your business, or into your EXP organization. Try and get a template together, put a little bio together, and create it and throw it out there as content. Showcase, other people. Other forms of posts you guys have seen, like time lapses, which is there's apps for that, which is the high speed kind of motion videos. That's really a different look. So a lot of people like watching hyperlapses of like the sun go down or come up behind one of your listings. That will get people to stop on your listing because it's different. Polls are great or surveys, because it gets people to interact. And that's one of the things I didn't talk about yet, is interact in your post. So when someone comments on your post, comment back, reply. That is what I call social juice, and that increases the reach of your post. If there is interaction and people are actually being social on social media, it actually gives that post more juice, and the platform will show it to more people. So it's very important to interact. Don't just like or say nice or great. If you're replying to someone else's or commenting on someone else's post, give some insight, give some content. Be like, oh, I really like the way you did this. This is some great information. Looking forward to more. That's great. So then that person responds and someone else gives their opinion. That's very important. So be aware of what people are saying on your post and respond to them. Boomerangs are another great, unique way to post something different than people are used to seeing as well. So who's seeing your post? This is a little bit of what I'm almost done. This is a little bit what I was just talking about. So the power of a post, we talked about live videos having a lot of power and a lot of reach, recorded videos, images, and then if you just posted text alone, then that, might get you the least amount of reach. But social juice is, all these things I talked about, being very descriptive in your post, putting hashtags. Once you get a like or a share or a comment, that gives you more reach and juice for your post. It starts to show it to more people. When you reply to comments, it feeds the algorithm and gets you more exposure as well. So tag other people and tag other businesses in your descriptions, in your comments. Shelley mentioned watch parties earlier. So if you're doing something like a live video, hit watch party, and that sends an alert to all your people in your organization or your friends that have interacted with you lately, and says, Shelley's live right now. Click on. That's called a watch party. So, and you could even invite people to that watch party. So it's going to get you more, and the more people that come on and start to watch your video, it pushes it out further to other people that are not yet watching. So that's called social juice, and all of that stuff is very important. Yes, Shelley.
If you want to help your friends in the business or your coworkers or people in your organization, like and comment on their watch party and help them get the exposure that they are trying to get, so we can all help each other. That's why I like so much stuff and comment. I try to do as much, and Craig does too. I know we all do, because we know it helps them get their exposure.
Yeah, it goes for everything. Watch parties get massive reach if you get some good momentum going. And all other posts, even if they're like still photo posts or videos, comment, give a good comment, reply on someone, give your thoughts on someone else's comment. Just feed it juice and help each other, strengthen numbers. So that is all. I know it was a lot of content. It went kind of fast. I hope that was really helpful to people. And if anybody has any final questions, we can answer those. If not, thank you for coming.